This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So in the previous session, we were trying to discuss about the types of filters, and we were looking at the quick filter in the previous day. So let's continue with the next type of filter, which is the cascading filter. Right, so let's save this file very quickly. Today is 22, okay, and notes. All right. So what is a cascading filter means? So in simple terms, it is nothing but it is a hierarchical filter. Hierarchical filter means it is a parent and a child relationships, isn't it? So hierarchy means most of the times it is parent and child filters. And where do we apply this filter? So where do we apply this filter? So this is just the extension of the quick filters only. All right, let's connect it to Tableau and see what it's all about. Cascading filter. Let's go to sheet 1. All right. So now let's drag one field, double click on region, then we get the data. Very good. So let's have some sales related for that. And how to get a quick filter for this? Right click on this and say here show filter. Then you would get two things here. So one, it gets added to this filters, and other, so it just opens up this box here. Let's put it this way so that everyone sees that. All right, so when it is only one, so it is very simple. And but now I want to find out the region wise, next is the state wise information. So I got the state. So every region has got states. Very nice. And I want to show this kind of a box for a state as well. Okay, how do we do that? Right click on the state and then say show filter. All right, so again two things happened here. Number one, it adds to the filters shelf, and then it adds here. But which is the first one which we added? The region. So region contains different states. So what I'll do here, so just move this to the top so that the region comes on the top. So it is just moving below like this. So you can just move things up and down, but I'm keeping here a region on the top. Okay, till here it's the same thing. And so here there is one very good topic to discuss here, so which we'll do very shortly. When I have two filters, what happens? Okay, but we are talking about the cascading filters, which is about these options here. Okay, so now what is the cascading filter? It's the parent and the child relation. This is a parent and this is a child. For me, this is a parent, this is a child. Very nice. Now unselect everything here in the region. Still, there are many options shown here, isn't it? Which is very bad. That is still fine, but observe. How can we fix that? Select only central region here. Okay, And observe, central has got only these many states. Yeah, that is true. But observe here. So how many states you are having here? It is showing so many number of states, isn't it? So why does it show? We'll talk about that in the next couple of minutes. But for now, my requirement is whatever the states it is showing here, I want to show the same states here also, right? Because it is a wrong information to the user that this region contains these many states. So what do we do now? How do we fix this problem? Is with the help of the cascading filters. How do we do that? Click on this drop down. So we said there are two options, which we'll talk about that later. So these two options are related to the cascading filters. The first option, which is the default, is all values in the database. Okay, leave it as it is because this is a parent. So leave that it gets all values from the database. That's very nice. But for the second, if you want to create a link between these two, then the only simple option is choose this option. That means only relevant values. Now what happens is if you select only relevant values, that means the selections what you are making here, then it will have impact here. So if you select only relevant values, then a link is created between these two filters, which is a hierarchical filters. Now here, let's say unselect. Now you can see everything got unselected. Select only central. It shows now how many values you have. The same values shows here. Select east. Everything should match now exactly the same. Select south. Yes. All right, so selecting this option is solving the problem here. So this is nothing but the cascading filter or the hierarchy filter. Is it only for two fields? Now let's say I want to drag city now. I want to have city as well. Now I want to have this city related filters on the screen. Okay, right click here and then say show filter. And then city is going to the top. Hey, you are a child, you should not go to the top. So come down. So it should be after state. So put that information here. And now observe the relation is between 1 and 2 only. So the relation is between 1 and 2 only. But when I say in central region, show me only this state. So this state has so many, but let's choose very few cities. Okay, so hardly 13 cities are there, but observe here, there are how many cities? So it is displaying every city in your data. So why is that? We'll talk about that. But how to create a link between these two things now? Okay, again, click on the drop down and select here only relevant values. Now observe, now whatever you select here, so then it should be displayed here. So I'm just moving one below the other just to make sure you can see that. So this is a parent, this is a child, and this is a grandchild. So if I now select anything here, so cities related to Texas are only displayed here. Right. So similarly, select any state, whatever you see here, only those will be displayed. So again, the same thing, you have to choose only relevant values. So simple. This is nothing but the hierarchical filters or the cascading filters. Okay. So this is the next type of filter which we had, and now let's move to the next type of filter. So what is the number? This can be the 6th and the 7th, which is mandatory in the interview. Without this, there will not be any interview for you. What is that filter here? It is a context filter. Right? So very, very important filter, and a different filter which we have till now, which is a context filter. Okay, let's try to understand what is a context filter. Right. So let's go to the next sheet. I want to solve this simple problem. So which we tried to do this before, but we did not get that, isn't it? Because this topic was not covered. Commonly asked interview question. Display top 3 customers in a state. Very simple one, isn't it? So display top 3 customers in a state. That is what you have to show. How many dimensions, how many measures? Okay, top 3 customers for what? Sales. So he is giving me the maximum sales. I want to take a look. Okay, so the commonly made mistakes. I'll show you that. But how many dimensions? So here you have customer, here you have a state. So 2 dimensions, and sales is 1 measure. All right. Now, how do we solve this problem? So we'll take here the state first, and then we will put here the customers. Where is the customer? All right. So every state has got so many customers. Very good. Take the sales. Very good. And then sort it out. So you have got the descending order. Very nice. And you can see the numbers. It is in thousands, isn't it? Okay, now apply top 3. So how to show only top 3? Okay, top 3 customers. Then let's say filter and select top 3 for what? For sales and sum of sales, and say apply and say okay. Now I want to check for the first state. I want to check only for this state. I said keep only. What in this state do you have only 1 customer? Check that very quickly here. So put that state here. So the commonly made mistake. So what is the name of the state which we are checking here? It is Alabama. Okay, so take the state and select the first state and put this in the rows and take your customers. Oh, you have got how many customers? 34 customers. Put the sales and then sort it out. All right. So if you observe here, so if you observe, this state has got so many customers. But what I'm asking here, so I'm asking only top 3 customers. Then what it is displaying here in the previous sheet, it says I have only 1 customer who is in top 3, which is incorrect. Commonly made mistake by most of them. So how do we solve this problem? So for this, we have to understand this topic. When you have more than 2 filters, what is the result? So how is Tableau calculating this value? We have to do some small R&D on this. But observe, so what happens here is, let's take a paint and let's try to understand separately. This is my data source. That means this is my database. This is my database here. Now, how many filters we had? Let's say I have a filter 1, and I have the second one, which is filter 2. Okay. and now when you have filters, both of them will be talking to the data source, and even this is talking to the data source. And that's what we applied here. So we have two filters. Now understand what happens here. Let's say now the output of this filter, we are getting the result as I'm just putting some dummy result here. So let's say this is result 1, and here you got results as ABC, comma XYZ, comma say LMN. So this is some result, string format. And the filter to result is something like this. Let's say every filter has its own output, isn't it? Okay. So this is the output of filter 1. This is the output of filter 2. Then what is the final result? So what is the final result is that this is the key here. Intersection of two results. That is, what are the common records in both filters? That means what is a common output in both the filters? So what is the common output here? So the common output I can see is ABC, and here also I can see ABC. That means the final result will be now showing as ABC. So what is this? It is all confusing, isn't it? Yeah. Now what it is doing is, in the filters shelf, if you have only one filter, this is my data source. I'm asking, show me results of only 2018. Then I applied that filter, so it is talking to the data source. Data source has 4 years of data, 16, 17, 18, and 19. But I'm asking here only one. So it talks to the data source and it gives me result of only 2018 data. This is the simple one. But here I have two filters, isn't it? And remember here, when you are dragging the dimensions, into the filters shelf, so those are called as individual filters. So what is the name here? Individual filters. So that means let's come back to this. So now when I drag customer name or when I drag state, this is one individual filter, and this is the second filter, individual filter 2. So what they are talking to the data source. Now let's analyze here. Right, so let's analyze. Let's go to the sheet, and what is the first filter we had? Okay, let's see, first filter maybe state wise, isn't it? Okay, now I'm dragging here state wise. So state wise filter, let's put that, and let's say Alabama, and have this here. Now what it is doing when we drag filters, so this individual filter is talking to the data source, and out of all the states, get me only this state, and this is the output, isn't it? So out of all the states, so get me only this state. This is the output of filter 1. Okay, so filter 1 output is Alabama. Very good, keep a note of it. And what we had is customer names. All right, so put this here. So we wanted the top 3 of this state, isn't it? Right, this is filter 1. Let's go to another sheet. What is the second filter which you applied? Customer name, and we applied some top conditions, isn't it? Okay, let's apply filter 2 in sheet 5. So this is filter 1. This is filter 1, and this is filter 2. So how is the Tableau showing that result? We are just analyzing that. Now I'm taking the customer name into this or into this, you can have that anywhere, and then show filter, then that is coming here. I'm not worried about this, so I'm just removing that. And what condition you applied? So I applied here, so edit filter, and I said here top by field, and then top 3 customers by sales, and apply and okay. All right, so when I said a top 3, how is this filter executing? It is taking all customers available in the data source. You have like 700 customers, isn't it? So if I remove that one step back, so how many customers you have here? You can see in the bottom of the screen, there is a 793 customers. And 793 customers of which state? All states, isn't it? So this is of all states. And for all states, we are applying give me the top 3, and this is what we did in the previous result here. Sales, and then apply, and then okay. Now you are getting out of 793 customers, you have got 3 customers. Okay, now this is filter 1 and this is a filter 2. Now filter 1 has a customer names, filter 2 has a customer names. Now it has to take the intersection. That means what is a common result in both the filters. All right, so I have only 3. Do I have this name? So I will check that in this list here. So here that user is available here. So you can see that name is available here. What about this Raymond Bush? Do I have that here? So you can check that in R. So that is not available. And what about this Sean Miller? Do you have that? In S section, that name is not available. So what is a common name in both the filters? It is only one name, and this is this name. And now the output, what it is showing is this one. So why we are getting this one? It is because of this result. So if we summarize all of them, this is talking to the superstore, and the result, so it is getting 3 customers only. So it is getting only 3 customers, and 1 2 3, and then it is applying, it is again talking to the data source, and here we are getting how many customers here? 34. Okay, so here we are getting 34 customers. So now the result here is intersection. That means the common records in both the outputs. So I got only one name which is matching. So that name is this name. This is how it is displaying this name. But what we want, I want top 3 of this. Yes, we will see how to solve this problem. But did you understand what is happening here? Do you have any questions? So please ask me now. So how we are getting this result? Did everyone understand?
Sir, Srinivas here. So I have one question. All right. So it is fetching the data if there are common fields, right? So what if there are no common fields? How do it fetch?
We will get a blank output.
Okay.
If there is no common result, then we will see the blank output. No output.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So now this is how Tableau works, but this is not the answer. But what I need, top 3 of this state. So now let's say when I filtered by state, that means when I filtered by state, I know that there are only 34 customers. Now I need to search for top 3 only in this 34, isn't it, to get the result? But why you are searching for the complete data source? That is wrong. So we need to tell to Tableau, so here the ordering of filters is important for us now. So which one executes first? Which one executes first? Either this or this. You can say this one. Okay, then I'll just drag and drop it here. Now this one execute first. All right. So which one execute first is, so the assumption is it takes the alphabetical order, but it really doesn't matter which one executes first. Why? Because the end result is the common in both. So which one executes first? The assumption as per the documentation is it takes the alphabetical order, but we can always change this here. It doesn't really matter. But now to solve our problem, I want to have a control on the execution of filters, because I have like 10 states. In the 10 states, first I want to filter one state. Now in this one state, now get me the results. So that means in these two filters now, I want to control the execution of filters. Okay, so how can we do that is, so that is where the concept context filters comes into picture. But I'm sorry, there's some theoretical one here. Right click on the state. So which one you want to execute first? State wise, because state wise customers I want to find out. Right click on the state, and here you will find an option here, add to context. Okay, so if I say add to context here, so what is happening? Two things are happening. Observe. So that state, that filter is moving to the top position, and the color is changing to the gray color, isn't it? So when the gray color filters are displayed, then that means it is a context filter. Point number one. And point number two, context filters executes first. So that means if you have two filters, then what happens here is, so the context filters will execute first. Observe the workflow here. So how is the order in these two filters? This one will talk to the data source first. Then it is asking, give me only this state related information. Then yes, so it is giving the information, and that information will be stored in the temporary table. So that result will be stored in the temporary table. That means the state related information. So you have so many states, but I am pulling only my required state related information, and that is stored in a temporary table, and this will be in the form of mdb dot sorry, it is something like a dollar symbol and temp dot mdb. You cannot really control this file. This is internally used by Tableau. Why it has to create this temporary file? What is the use? What is the use means, the second filter, the customer names, what filter you applied here? So I applied top three filters, isn't it? Get me top three. Top three from which table now? You have the data source, you have the temporary table. Now this customer name will be talking to this table. That means this individual filter now doesn't talk to the data source, because this is its parent now. This is its parent now, and this filter will be applied in this table only. So in this table you have 34 records. So in the 34 records, give me the top three customers. Then it is applying, it is querying this temporary table, and this is the final result. And can I cross check that whether it is right or wrong? How to cross check? Manually check that this is a state, this is the customer name, and take the sales and sort it out. So manually I can verify, okay, these are the top three. So Mark, Alan, and Irene. So you can check that whether these are the top three or not. Okay. Now, can I have the quick filter here? For context filter, can I show this? Yeah. Can I choose any other state? Will it work for everything? Okay, unselected, selected Arizona. So it is displaying these three. Again, I'm not leaving this whether it is a true or false. So we will check that even here as well. So Arizona, show me that. And the top three. So John and TA, JTA. So you can verify that here. You are getting the same result. But remember, this only works for one selection. Oh, what is that again? Another condition? Yes. So this approach, this context filter only works for one selection. Any state you do it, so it will give the correct results. So till here it is fine, no problem. But if customer says, hey, I want to see top three of California and top three of Alabama. Okay, I selected that. So individually, it is showing the right answer. But if I select both, observe what happens. So observe what happens. So for Alabama, now it is showing some number, and for California, it is showing some number. Okay, is this the right answer? Analyze again. So why it is showing these values? So analyze quickly. These two state records will be now stored in the temporary table. True or false? You have two states. So that state's information will be stored here. Maybe 30 records, and maybe here you have 30 records. So 30 plus 30, this table will have 60 records. Now in the 60 records, what is the second filter? You applied a top 3 for customer name. So top 3, it is a searching for, okay, who is top 3 in this? So it is trying to search for the top 3. But observe, it shows 4, but it is the duplicate here, isn't it? This is one, this is one. It is of same name, if you observe. So it shows only top 3 customers, and that customers can be of this state and this state. All right. So this selection, this approach only works for one selection. But no, sir, my requirement here is top 3 customers for whatever state I select. It has to show top 3. Then how do we solve that problem? Yes, we can solve that problem very easily with the help of calculated fields. So we have to use the calculated fields to solve that problem. All right. So we are going to see the same problem again, but when we discuss here the calculated fields. And till here, this is a very important interview question. This comes directly in the telephonic round itself. So similarly, can we do one more example here? So same thing, but just another example just to understand what is happening there. And what I'm asking here is display top 10 cities of selected state. Otherwise, let's say top 3 states of selected region. So every region has got states, and I want to see only top 3 states. So manually, without applying any logic here. So first drag a region, then drag state, and so top 3 for profits. It's another example. So take profits and put that into this list, and then sort it. So I need here, if I select central, it has to show these 3. If I select east, it has to show these 3. So like that for every state, sorry, for every region, I need to see top 3 states. Okay, how do we do that? Add both of them into the filters. So right click, show filter, goes there. Right click, show filter, and even it goes there. So the problem is, sir, how do we know which filter we have to apply context? This is one common question which I get from everyone. Sir, how do I know? How do I know like which filter I need to apply context here? Understand for which dimension or for which measure you are taking into consideration. Top 3 states, you want to show top 3 of selected region. So that means that this is a parent and you want to show top 3 for this parent. So understand the question, and then for region you have to say add to context. Nothing changed here, isn't it? Yeah, why? Because we did not apply top 3 for the state. So let's apply that filter here. Edit the filter and then go to the top. Then let's say top 3 for what? For profits only, and apply, and then okay. You want for one state, one region, or multiple regions? So remember, this logic only works for one selection. Alright, so if you select east, it shows top 3. Select south, yes. But if you select both, so both records will be there in the temporary table. So this records and this records will be there. And out of southwest, who are top 3? So then it is displaying, yeah, top 3, 2 from west, 1 from south. But that is not what I want. Okay, so for that question, we have to look at the topic, which is calculated fields. So slowly, step by step, we'll get into that as well. For now, this is the solution. All right. So do you have any questions till now? Because I have some questions.
For which field we can apply context? We have to apply context.
For which
field we have to apply context filter?
For the parent field. So in these two, which one do you think parent? See, very simple. You want to see top 3 students in a class. So class is a parent. Top 3 classes in a school, school becomes the parent. So top 3 students in a district, so district becomes the parent. Isn't it? So top 3 for what? For which one? So that becomes the parent, and apply context for that dimension.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now the question I have here is, can I have a second individual filter? That means, observe here, I want to make it a little complicated. So I have one context filter, I have one individual filter. This is individual filter, and this is context filter. Now, can I have one more individual filter? How does it work? If I have two context filters, so that means two context filters and one individual filter, or two context filters and two individual filters. How does this work? Okay, let's try to understand how does this work. Another combination, one context, one dimension, one measure. Isn't it? So there are different combinations which we can apply based on the requirements. Okay, now let's go to the thing. So theoretically, let's understand what happens here. So this is the data source where you are having the data, and here I have context filter 1, context filter 2, and then individual filter 1. Okay, first I'll put only one field. Okay, so then what happens here? The first step here is, so this will talk to the data source, and then what happens? The output is stored in the temporary table. So here we got some table here, something like this table, and we have the results in that table. And this individual filter, the results of this are stored here, and this is talking to this table now. Okay, this is fine. But let's see what happens if I have one context filter and two individual filters. So I put here individual filters. Don't read it as if. So there are few people where they read as what is higher. So it is individual filter 1, individual filter 2. Okay, so how does this work now? Very good question. So how does this work? Now, which one first executes? There are three. So here, always this will talk to the data source first. Okay, sir, another question. Can I move the filters now? Let's go to desktop. And so can I change the position? Can I bring it down? Observe here. So when I'm trying that forcibly also, it does not come down because this will be executed first. So that's why it says, hey, I don't come to the second position. I'm always number one. So I will execute first, right? So even though you have 100 individual filters, one context filter, so this will be executed first. Okay, now I got, let's say 30 records. Now this individual filters, which are in blue color, now they will query this temporary table. Now which one first execute? It really doesn't matter. It will be alphabetical order, but it really doesn't matter. Why? Because the first filter output I'm getting 10 records. Second filter output here I'm getting 5 records. Then what is the final output here is the common records in both. Common records in both outputs. Only difference here is instead of talking to the data source, it is talking to this data source, which is a temporary table. And how individual filters work, it is the same way how it works here also. All right, so the final output, maybe we will get only 5 if all 5 records are there in this output also. Otherwise, if none of the records are matching, then you will get a blank output. So we'll see that here in example here. All right, so I want to take a duplicate of this. So right click and say duplicate. Then it creates the same sheet, whatever you have, like this. And what I want to do now, okay, in this state, I want to track here, let's say the customers. Okay, let's put that here. So it's having region, state, and customers. Okay, let's apply some filter for this customer. Right, and let's say here, let's say matching values are starts with the J. Okay, now you have one context filter, and then there are two individual filters. And which one executes first here? This one, and this you will get the table, and on this table, now this is your data, this is your table, and this will be querying this table. Okay, what is the filter? We said give me top three states, and okay, so you will get the list here, you will get the output. And the second filter, it is talking to this data source, and what you are applying, show me only the customers who are starting with the J. So you have now two outputs. Now again it takes the intersection. So intersection is denoted by this symbol. That means the common records. And that common records output is this one. Okay. So here, this is how it works with the one context filter and two different individual filters. Right? And let's see now the other combinations. Important for interview as well as for your day-to-day activities. Now let's see the other combinations. You have the data source, and this time I have two context filters and I have one individual filter. Oh, can we apply more than one? Definitely, you can apply more than one. And now what happens? Now which one gets executed first here? So here only context filters gets executed first. But which one? Which one here? So again, it really doesn't matter. Why? Because let's assume this one gets executed first and a table will be created. Yes, it is adding the records in this table. Very nice. And then this context filter executes. This filter executes and it will add the records to this table. So now you got 10 records here and 10 records here. Then it takes the intersection. What are the common records in both the filters? Then the common records are maybe only 5 records. So finally, you have only one table here. So the assumption is that it might create 2 tables here. No, it creates only one table, but it will add records, but it will perform the intersection again, common records. And this filter will now talk to this table. Right. So using two context filters is sometimes we use that when we have a huge amount of data, but mostly we'll use one context filter. Right. So is this possible? Okay. Let's take a look in Tableau here. Let's go to another sheet, and let's say here I have category, and I set a furniture and make it as a context. And then I'll take here region and then select one, apply, say okay, and make this as a context. Now what happens here? So first it will talk and then again it will talk. So for the first one, it creates table, then it adds records. So second time it is talking to the data source because context always speaks to the data source, and it will add the records. Let's say I got 10, I got 5 records here. So total you have 15, but in 15, what are the common records? Please tell me that. So maybe the final report is only 5 records. And then let's say we have this day and put that here. Select one and say apply. Now what happens is this individual filter will speak to this. So what is the conclusions here which we can make is very important conclusions. So please make a note of this here. So what are they? Context filters. Context filters always talk to the data source. Data source. Even it can be 1, 2, or more. Individual filters. Individual filters always speak to the data source only. But But if we have combination of context filters and individual filter, then individual filter will query the context filter output, nothing but a temporary table. So which is in the form of, so then I can say that which is in the form of a temp.mtp. So it will be something like this. Right. So these are the different combinations which we can apply for the context filters. Okay. So any questions till now? Because I made it little complicated. 1, 2, and the combinations. Why I made two things here? Maybe one question, sir, when should we make 2 as context? Very good question. So I want to get the East region data plus furniture related data only. That means if my requirement here is get me, or let's say get me the East related region, furniture category details. Then how many fields you have here? So how many fields we have? 2 fields. One is the region, one is the category. So I want to get both of them. I want to get both data, and I want to filter that into one table. If I say only East means in the East region, I will get office supplies and technology, but I don't want these two. I want one filter on one and another filter on this. So it is a combination now. So this table will have records of only East region and which is category which is having the furniture. So what I'm doing here, I'm building a subset of data. So what I'm doing here, I have so many records. In that records, I'm building one small data set or a subset of data so that I can just query my required output in this table. Instead of talking to the data source, so I'm talking to this table now. So what happens here is it will improve the performance. Oh, really? How it will improve performance? Okay, let's see that. So this has 10,000 records. Okay, this has 10,000 records. How many filters we have? 3 filters. Let's say assume all 3 are individual, all blue colored ones. So all blue colored ones means, so first one, it is querying 10,000. Second one, again querying 10,000. Third one, again querying 10,000. So totally 3 filters are repeating. So the number of records will be somewhere around 30,000. But now observe, when I make a temporary table, so how many times it is executing? 10,000 first time, okay, 10,000, and second context filter 10,000. Very good. So you have got 20,000, and it takes a filter. Maybe I'll get 5,000 here. I'll get 5,000 records. Now this individual filter is only querying how many records? 5,000. So how many is the total now? It is at 25k. Here it is 30k. Okay. So when the number of records decreases, performance increases. Searching for one person in 100 people is easy, but in 10,000 people, very difficult because it takes time. So similar logic here. So we are improving the performance when we apply context filters. right? So that is another interview question. So why should we use context filter? So why we should use context filters? Yes. So to have the subset of data and to improve performance, we can use the context filters. But again, so there is another point here. If we use too many context filters, it will decrease the performance. It will decrease the performance. Right, so we'll see that how it will decrease the performance. Okay, so is it clear till now, or any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Mhm.
As you said, like there's context filters to increase the performance. Basically, we are using in the dimensions hardly 2 or 3 dimensions. So more than that, if we use more than the 3 or 4 dimensions, in that case, the performance get down.
Not really. No, not in that case. So performance
Okay.
goes down in a different case. I'll show you with the flow of that.
Okay.
Let's assume. So if I put your question, let's say I have one context filter and 10 individual filters. Isn't
Okay.
it? Will the performance goes down here? So is that your question?
No. Actually, I mean, yep. We can go with this.
Right. So here also you are definitely increasing the performance, but not to a great extent, only to a small extent. But why? Because let's say you have 11 filters now. You have 11 filters, and each filter is talking to the data which is having 1,000 records. So what is the total number of records which it has to query? It is somewhere around 11,000 records. So clear till now?
Yes, sir.
1, 3, 4. So 11 times, so 11,000 records it is trying to query. Let's come to this scenario. So out of 11 filters, I made one as a context and 10 as individual filters. Okay, so when I query 1,000 records, maybe I got the output here. Let's say somewhere around 500 records possible. So I'm taking the maximum. And now these 10 individual filters, so again they have to query 500 records 10 times. So 500 into 10, so it becomes 5,000. But the first time it is querying 1,000. So the total records will be now 6,000. Here it is 11, here it is 6. So are you reducing the number of records?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. That's
500 is good, but so let's say 1,000 records if you filtered. If you get again 1,000 records here, then it is almost the same thing here, isn't it? So 11,000 is the total count, and here also 11,000. But generally, when we apply any filter, the number of records will be reduced.
reduced.
So when it is reducing, it is impacting the next filters here. So that's where we can improve the performance.
Mm,
Clear? Still doubts? You can always ask your questions.
mm. Okay, sir. If we have one, we'll get back to you.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's see one last thing here. So this is a note we wrote, but how does this decrease the performance? And in the interviews, so they'll ask you this question again. So very important question. So how many context filters did you use in your project? So we cannot say only one. Sir, I used 2 to 3 context filters. So don't say more than 2 to 3 because it will affect the performance. But how? So they'll ask you how it can affect the performance. Okay, let's take a look here with a very small diagram. Data source. So I'm going little depth here because you might get a good interview questions. So the scenario here is context filter 1, context filter 2. So I have 5 context filters. Because SAR said use context filters, it will improve the performance. So I used 5 context filters and 1 individual filter. So I want to improve performance drastically. So I used 5. Very good. So you are following the footsteps. Then let's say here I have 100 records. Okay, so here I have only 100 records. Now the first context filter is talking to the data source. Count the number of records. So first time it is 100 records it has to query. So I'll put that number here, 100. So it is getting some data here. So it is putting that into the table. And second filter starts looking at 100. Let's say the output here, let's say the output here I'm getting somewhere around 50 records out of 100. And now the second context filter, so again it is trying to add its own result. Let's say I got here another 50 records. Okay, so what is the number here? 200. So I'll add 100. So that means every context filter is talking to the data source. So how many times? 5 times. So as your context filter increases, every time it has to talk to the data source and it has to get the records. It has to add the records into this temporary table, and then it has to look at the common records in both the tables. So every time it has to talk to the data source and then get me the results, add it to your temporary table here. So 5 times it is adding values to this table. Okay. Now what are the total number of records we have? So it is querying 500. And this individual filter, so again it is trying to talk the output. So output may be only 50. So output I got 50. So it is querying the 50 records. How many you have? 100. What is the total number of records you got? 500 records. Is it a good one? So you are querying 5 times, that means 500 records. And again, individual filter is asking the 500 records. So that means as the context filters increases, the load on this temporary table increases, because every time it has to open that database, then it has to add the records, then go back, query, add the records, save this file, again go back, query, and then come back, add the records. So it will be a time-taking process here between this database and this database. So to and fro, there will be opening, saving, opening, saving, opening, saving. So here it consumes a lot of time here. So it consumes a lot of time in doing this activity. So as the context filters increases, this round trip increases. So the performance decreases. So that's why we don't encourage to use more than 2 to 3 context filters. So generally, we use only 2 to 3 for most of the scenarios. So don't say beyond this number because it will affect the performance. How? This is the reason. Open the table, add the records, close the table. Open the record, open the table, add the records, close the table. So like that, it has to do number of times, which is adding a load to Tableau. And once it is done, only then it will get the final intersection of the results. So again, one more step. So this is where it takes a lot of time. And that's the reason we don't say that we say like use less context filters. So don't use more context filters. Right. So hang on, I'll just open the small snapshot if we have ready. Let's show that. Okay, so you can see on the screen, which is in the notes again. So this is the same thing which you have in the notes. So I made the snapshots of each one. How does it work? With individual filters, this is the output you got. This is the common result. When you have one context filter, so what happens? So this is the output, and this filter talks to this output, right? And then that is the final output. This is one context filter, one individual filter, and the another one. So you have three context filters. So how does it work? So you have three and one individual filter. So here, so it takes output one, then put it here, then output two, put that here, context filter three, then put that here. So it takes the combined output, which is again the intersection, and then this individual filter talks to this. So you have the diagrammatic representation in the notes. So please refer this in the notes section. You will get some idea again. So if you could not follow the diagrams, so you have something in the notes which I made it clear. Okay. So so we will stop it here for today, and tomorrow we will talk about the next filter, which is again the most commonly used one, which is a parameter filters. Okay.
Sir, one question, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
Does the context filter every time whatever it talks to the data source and the number of records what is there that it pulls every time the same records? Assume that in the data source we have around 10,000 records, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, can we go with this display cat region? Okay,
Okay, made it context.
okay. Okay,
Now
region central. Can we go with the state wise?
instead of region,
I mean, I just want to add another context filter for the state.
right.
So now here we have added the state, sir. So in the state we have, I mean, how many records? I mean, let me check in the state how many records we have for that. For the state.
49. You might get 49 records.
Right, sir. So these 49 records, I mean, this gets pulled it from the data source every time.
Now, see, individually, when you pull that, it is 49. But central, you have some records. So now, in this central and this output, so how many states you would get here?
49 states, and central is the one.
No, see, you have to look at the table records, not these individual ones. When I say record, then I'm talking about this complete record. So I'm talking about this complete records.
Okay.
So now when I apply region central, that means, so where is the region central? So, okay, so it will pull these many records. So till where you have till here. So these are the number of records. So
Okay.
this filter, so for this filter, if I say region central, so whatever we have in the selection, that will be added to this table.
Okay.
Now the second one, so state. So state wise, I'm asking to the data source. So did I apply filter here? No filter.
For the state, no.
Then it takes all records from this, all 10,000 records. It will take that and it will put into this table. So all states, it will put into this. So maybe for region, I got like 3,000 records, and
Okay.
for state-wise, every record, so it is 10,000 records.
Right.
Now, what is the common records in both? Maximum you might get 3,000 if everything matches, isn't it?
Okay.
So here the output will be only 3,000 records.
Okay.
And the next individual filters, so whatever you add it here, so subcategory, now this will only 1,000 records. Now this will talk to only this 3,000 records.
But again, in the subcategory, if I again, this would be like again 10,000 records, right, sir?
No, where is 10,000? So it is talking to this 3,000 records. So this
Acha.
does not talk to data source.
Okay.
So for this, who is the parent now? This context filter is the parent. So it talks to the temporary table.
Okay.
And did we reduce the number of records from 10,000 to 3,000 for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is where you are increasing the performance.
Okay, got it, sir.
Yeah. So apply this for more dimensions, one dimension, analyze the result, put it in the another sheet. So try something different things, and if your expected is not matching with what you want, then get that question to me. So we'll look at in the class itself.
Okay. And yesterday there was one guy, I mean, one person who have asked a question, sir, that in the WhatsApp.
Oh, which one is that?
There was one guy who has uploaded it.
Let me check the phone.
Karthik has uploaded a question, sir. It says that like subcategory wise product name, he has represented the profits which are above and below 2K and 5K
Okay.
by using measure this range of values.
Right. I'm seeing that here. So subcategory wise, let's build it here. Product name.
Hello?
Yes, madam.
That's not Karthik, that's me, that's Bhavana.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's take the profits. And so which one you took?
I had taken some.
Sum or all values?
I think all
I had
values,
taken,
sir.
The
If we take
question
all
was
values only, it comes to the range of values.
correct. So that's what the question was, isn't it? Between 2,000 and
To 5K.
5,000. So maybe I can just use a range of values and use this slider because I'm a lazy fellow. So let's move this to, okay, let's type it here. 2,000 and 5,000. So is this what you used?
She has used the same thing, sir. So her question was like, is that the visualization was correct, what she has represented?
Right. But here in the visualization, I'm seeing that she used a sum of profit, which is incorrect. But here we
Ah,
used profit. So if you look at the sheet which I saw in the WhatsApp, so it was sum
sum
of
of
that.
profit.
Maybe, madam, you might have used at least 2000.
No, I had taken sum and I had taken range of values. First I had selected sum and then I had taken range of.
Okay, if you select this and again edit the filter, so you changed it here,
Yeah, that's it.
5000.
Yeah, apply. Okay.
Apply.
Is that correct or else I had to take all values?
Right, hang on. So this is interesting question. So let's put a duplicate and let's remove this and let's put here the profit and range of values. So I'm using here 2000 and 5000. So here I got two sheets for this. Which one is right? Very interesting question. All right, so what do you think? Which one is right?
Sheet 10 2, sir.
10.2 is right. Or sheet 10?
Yeah, above 2000, below 5000 means sheet 10 2 is right, I think so.
Here also above 2000 and maybe below 5000. And here also it is above 2000 and is it
Aila.
below 5000?
No.
No, so why it is showing above 5000, isn't it? So what is
Yeah.
happening here is, so which one is right? So sheet 10 is the right answer. But why? Why means, see, observe here, we are displaying the values based on the aggregations. So that means for this single product, so you are trying to show sum of profits. That means I might have got 10,000 profit sometime, I might have got only 2,000 profit sometimes. So if I take the aggregation, like on an average, like what I got, that's the total I got 12,000. Right, so this data is displaying for aggregation. So here you have to use aggregated filters. But what is this here? So what is this here means? You are using individual values. That means when you are using individual values, it is going to the data source, and so it is trying to combine so subcategory and the product names. So it will be grouping both of them. So where is a subcategory here? Subcategory PQRS. Okay, so now so it is grouping these subcategories, and whatever you have for single one, it has to take all these records. For all this, so it will be applying and what it is applying for the subcategory and the product names. So it is taking both of them. So where is the product name? Somewhere here and there. It will be taking the count of the individual values. So it is like grouping. So grouping accessories and grouping the product names, and then it will take individual values from this list. So that means
Sir,
it is some aggregation.
but we had given here condition, right? Like 2000 to 5000 only, but it is showing like 5040 is the highest.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Aggregated filters.
What I'm saying is, do you have 539? This value is this value.
Yes.
What you are seeing here is, so this value is this. That means it is taking individual row values, because you said no aggregation. No aggregation, one by one. So record by record. So record by record. So what you have from 5,000 to 2,000 to here. So you will get these many values on the screen. So if you observe, these numbers should match somewhere here and there. I'll try to show you. Okay, observe the first one, 4946, 4630, 3919. So it will be somewhere, where is that? 3919. Okay,
20,
so
I think so.
okay, we'll see why that got missed.
Here it is, sir, in the second one. It is a subcategory wise copiers. First one. 3920.
Yeah, it is here. Sorry.
Second.
Yeah, I was just looking for exact number. So this one is this.
Yeah.
What you are displaying, you are trying to display these values. Means when you don't apply sum, you are taking individual values. But here, so how many you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 values you have. But here, it has to consider every subcategory, every product name, and it has to take the aggregations. Did you understand the difference? So if you are using only profit, then open the table and look at what you applied. So sort this profit column and then look at the values where you are applying. Simple terminology, between 2,000 to 5,000. This is what you are trying to show.
Okay.
It is no sum. If you applied sum, then it has to take the grouping of these two categories, these two dimensions, and then it will apply the sum. So in which way? Okay, let me show that, but it's difficult to show. So for accessories, it will try to sum all these values. So it will try to add all these values. Is this a sum greater than 2000? Then it will show. Otherwise, don't show this. So here you are doing aggregation, then checking for accessories. Is it greater than 2000 and less than 5000? When you are applying sum profit. But if you just say profit, look at the direct numbers here. Look at the direct numbers.
Hello?
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
it will be accessories and product name, no, sir? Group by.
Now see here, which one executes first? In this, which one executes first? This one executes first. When this executes, then how many records you got? So you got only this many records. So for these records, how many you are getting in this group, display that.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah.
Here I am not getting one point. Like top three we had selected, and we had given one condition, that is greater than 2000 and less than 5000. Why it is taking more than 5000 value, even though we are giving one condition to that table?
Where is that condition? Did you? I didn't give any top three here. I just dragged and dropped 2 fields. Did you give any I did not give any condition. So it's empty.
Okay. It
There's no
didn't.
condition.
Okay.
Sir, I think you can give an example, the one what you have given with the same sample data, like number of mobiles, sales, and all that, which was mentioned in the notepad, right? How many dimensions? I mean, what is the count and count distinct of that?
Yeah, count distinct is different, and
No,
the
no, in
combination.
that, sir, but in that, I mean, I can see a number of product sales and all that. So that could help out here, sir.
Yeah, maybe refer to the notes section, madam, where
Uh,
Vikram is referring. So that will definitely help you.
Okay.
But
I had
looking at
taken
your
this sheet. I had done this sheet 10 thing only, sir. That's it.
okay. So
I
if you
had
are
taken
doing this,
aggregation. Yeah, I had
yes,
taken
then
some profit and then I had given range of values from 2000 to 5000. That's it.
right. So then this is the right answer. But if you
Okay,
take
thank you.
this one,
No, I
then it
didn't
is a
take that.
okay. So it's wrong, but the other one is the right answer.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
understand the difference here. Right, so difference is very important when you take aggregation and when you take without aggregation. That makes difference.
Okay, we'll check that too.
Sure. But anytime
Sir, this
you
is Srinivas.
post, yeah, just one point. So anytime you
Sure.
want to ask whether it's right or wrong, so make sure you show this filter also in your snapshots.
Okay, sir.
That
Next time I'll show. I'll show definitely.
yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Srinivas, yeah,
Sir,
sorry.
how can we cross check whether the graphical representation is right or wrong if there is a huge data? Okay, so in this case, we are checking only the values, right? 2K to 5K. Okay, so how can we cross check? SQL query.
We have to write a small SQL query and then we can validate whether it is right answer or answer.
Okay.
So how to validate that? We will see that in the future session. But hang on, I'll just try to open this. And that's a good question because you gave me some report and I cannot send it directly to client. I need to validate whether it is right, whether it is wrong. So we can validate very easily with just writing a small SQL query. That means I'll check from the database point of view. Okay, this is password is wrong. So don't worry about what I show because this comes in the future classes. The wrong password. Say connect. So I'll run a simple query and find out the values if they are matching or not matching. Okay, well,
Okay.
I'll tell you what we are doing. So this comes in the end after 25 to 30 classes. No, it's taking time. Finish.
So this is Ranga. So I have a question, sir.
Sure.
I have practiced one question, so I'm unable to see the result output.
Okay.
Yeah, display all customers whose total sales are above 50,000 and profits are less than 2,000. I use the formula.
So how many conditions you have? Two conditions.
Two conditions. Sales are above 50,000 and profits are less than 2000.
Okay. So if you are not getting the output, then
Yeah.
you don't have the fields for that combination. But if you
Okay.
manually check, if you are getting data in the report, then
I'm able to
the
see.
logic will.
Yeah, I'm able to see the
Okay.
sales 50,000 above, and profits are also less than 2,000. I can see the values.
Right. So that means the logic, the formula can be wrong.
Okay.
So can you post that?
Yeah,
So that
sure.
we can.
Yeah.
Speaking.
What's the formula?
Yeah, do that. SQL Server looks down, but why is that down? Okay, so this is the problem. Should be automatic. Okay, I need to enable this as the admin. Yeah, maybe I'll show you the next day because I need to log out and log in as an admin, and I need to enable as an administrator, then log in back with a different user. The way I set up the SQL Server is a little different. I have 2 to 3 users which use the same machine. Everything is controlled by admin. When it starts by admin. Maybe I'll try to show you how to hang on. Otherwise, we'll connect to it to the database server, which is public. So this server is
Sir, I have sent in the WhatsApp condition which I wrote.
okay. Sure. So I connected to some different machine, and let's select here Superstore and what you selected in Tableau. So, let's write small query here. So what is the table name? And this is a subcategory, comma, product name, but this should be in this, comma, sum of profit, then so we can write these then that. Right, did we connect to the right Superstore? Maybe let's use this. Yeah. All right, and so here, how many records we got? It is 19 records. So how many records you got here? So it is 19 records. And how many we got in the database? So it is 19 records. So the records are matching. and we can check the output here. So for subcategory machines, so okay, subcategory machines. So 3D system cube, do I have that? So what is the number? 3717. So it shows 3718. We can definitely round it off. And let's round off now. So now it round it off to the exact values. So I can cross check the numbers whether it is matching or not matching. Right, so this is how we can definitely validate with the small SQL queries. Okay, but don't worry
Okay,
for
sir,
now.
got
So
it.
what I'm writing, because you need to know what is these clauses, where to write, when to write. So when should we use group by, when should we use having. So there's a lot of concept behind that. So we'll come back to this. Okay, so now okay, so you are using this condition. So writing formulas, what I have, so last one for today. And what did you have? The profits. Put the labels here and sort it out. So what you need is sum of sales greater than 50,000. So where is the sales? So sum of sales, is it greater than 50,000?
Sorry to interrupt. I mean, it was 5,000 actually. I did mistake.
5,000. Okay. And where did you apply formula? Customer name. So if I say this, will it show me the results? So I said apply and I say okay. So does it show only 5,000? Yes, it shows. What is the other one you had? Sum of profit, and this is less than 2,000. So here you're using AND, isn't it? So if you say apply, are you seeing the results? So greater than 5,000 and less than 2,000. So here anywhere is the number greater than 2,000. So you got the result, isn't it?
Yes, sir, correct. So instead of 5,000, I
So
put 50,000. So I didn't cross check.
yeah, so pay the fees 10 extra. Okay, so be careful. All right then, so that's all for today. Thank you very much. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.